What can save someone who's reincarnated but forgot their brain? When the maid's daughter brought a strange man home, a flood of comments instantly appeared before my eyes. Both the male and female leads have reincarnated. Their sweet love story officially begins. The supporting female lead is truly vicious. If Liam didn't have bone cancer and needed money for surgery, why else would he accept Clara's money and eventually marry her out of gratitude? That's right. One surgery could cure him, yet he had to marry her. Forcing Clara to be a caged bird for 8 years, it's utterly unfair. Luckily, Lucy's family went bankrupt, and seeing Liam realize his love for Clara, he immediately divorced Lucy and married Clara grandly. That's right, Liam is so brilliant. Just a poor man, yet he managed to seize all of Lucy's family assets, rising to become a wealthy billionaire. Truly satisfying. I rolled my eyes at Clara, who no longer bothered to pretend to be gentle, and the cold, arrogant-looking man standing beside her. A scornful smile unconsciously bloomed on my lips. A man without money for school, a man unable to afford medical treatment. This reincarnated couple certainly didn't pick the most opportune moment. Clara held the man's hand, head held high, looking smug as she strolled over and settled onto the sofa. She glanced at me, a provocative smirk playing on her lips. "Lucy, this is Liam, my boyfriend. Don't even think about pretending not to know him and trying to interfere." She declared it with certainty, as if she was absolutely convinced that I would be captivated by this man's appearance. Immediately, the comments before my eyes surged like a torrent, overflowing with praise. Amazing, reincarnating and confessing publicly right away. No need for the supporting female lead to interfere and cause them to lose 8 years. In the previous life, the supporting female lead was only attracted by the male lead's looks and took advantage of his need for medical money to force him to marry her as repayment. This made Clara suffer like a caged canary for 8 years outside. How cruel. Fortunately, Liam, for Clara's sake, after taking over the supporting female lead's family company, orchestrated a plan that caused the supporting female lead's parents to die in a car accident and then locked the supporting female lead in a mental asylum. Their century-long wedding even made the princess of the neighboring country envious. What a romance story with peak dual-reign love, sweet to the point of death. I frowned, watching the two of them playfully flirting in front of me. The man sat up straight, his face composed as he looked at me, an air of dignified presence emanating from him. However, his pale, sickly appearance and cheap shirt completely clashed with that aura. Clara looked even more smug, a half-smile on her face, as if she'd long known the outcome. The comments showed no sign of stopping. I finally understood. I was the vicious supporting female lead they were talking about. According to the plot, at the moment Liam said he didn't have a girlfriend, I offered him $1 million, suggesting I'd cover his medical expenses on the condition that he stayed by my side. Though Liam accepted, his heart always held a special place for his secret love, Clara, the maid's daughter. One was the maid's daughter, the other a live-in husband. Yet these two had been secretly having an affair behind my back for 8 long years. Thanks to me, they gained status, wealth, and fame. When my parents passed away, they conspired to send me to a mental asylum, fabricating fake medical reports. Meanwhile, they freely squandered my family's assets and openly declared their love. Tragically, while on their honeymoon abroad, their plane crashed. Both died and then reincarnated at the same time. The first thing they did after reincarnating was to come before me, a villainous supporting character, to declare their ownership. I offered a sarcastic smile. Liam, without money to treat his bone cancer. Clara, living off my money. Can these two truly be called reincarnated at the right time? I called for the butler, my voice icy. "Mr. Sue, please escort these two out." Clara froze, a flicker of anger crossing her face. "Lucy, why are you acting like this? My boyfriend hasn't been well lately and his rent just expired. I'm his girlfriend, of course I have to take care of him. If you kick him out, where will I stay?" I looked up, my smile faint as I responded coolly. "I understand. That's why I'm kicking both of you out. Clara, this is my home. You have a boyfriend, a solid support system now. You don't need to keep relying on me." Clara was utterly shocked. She looked at Liam in a panic. The comments were instantly flooded with question marks. What's wrong with the supporting female lead? Shouldn't she have fallen in love with the male lead at first sight and treated the male and female leads like honored guests? Why isn't she following the script? The male and female leads don't have a penny. If they're kicked out, where will they stay? Shouldn't the supporting female lead have fallen in love with the male lead immediately? She must be playing hard to get, trying to attract the male lead's attention, right? Just wait, she'll be crying and begging him not to leave later. Liam looked up, his sharp phoenix eyes glinting coldly. Lucy, I know you're deliberately kicking me and Clara out to get my attention, but in this life, I will never bow before your dirty money. If you know what's good for you and stay put at home, don't provoke me, and I'll let you have a place in this house. Oh right, I've already moved into the master bedroom. You can move your things out of there yourself. I was dumbfounded, my eyes nearly popping out. These anonymous people on social media, self-proclaimed brilliant commentators, arrogantly claim the right to judge and correct. How ridiculous that they so easily formed opinions. Meanwhile, that male lead with his delusions of grandeur wasn't much better. Reincarnated without a single brain cell? What a pity. This was my asterisk estate, yet he presumptuously demanded a place for me in it. I scrunched my face, my expression growing colder. No need for further words. I simply waved my hand. Immediately, my professional security team swiftly carried out the order, escorting Clara and Liam out of the villa. Their angry shouts and threats echoed through the space, only to be cut off by the sturdy main gate. At the same time, I didn't forget to immediately block the supplementary credit card I had casually given to Clara. My close friend, Chloe, who witnessed the entire scene, spoke up with a joyful expression. What on earth just happened? Did you finally see through Clara's disgusting true colors? Chloe had long disliked Clara. However, due to our long-standing friendship, coupled with my loyalty, and the fact that we grew up together, I had generously allowed her to use a supplementary card and spend freely. It's true that every girl likes glamorous things. External beauty always has a strange allure, but everything has its limits. If she dared to cross the line, to casually touch my interests, she shouldn't blame me for turning ruthless. As for whether she'd have a place to live later, or if she'd even survive, honestly, I didn't care one bit. I smiled faintly, linking arms with Chloe, and shifted to a lighter topic. Manager Lynn informed me the other day that Heaven's Silk Boutique just received some new jewelry and clothing. Let's go take a look. If we like anything, we can pick it up. It's on me. Chloe beamed, her eyes curving into crescents. Miss Lucy is so generous. Then I won't stand on ceremony. She paused, then added, Oh, right, my brother is coming back to the country today. I'll call him to pick me up later. I nodded. Just then, I saw the social media comments begin to spread rapidly. The welcome party for the supporting male lead tonight will be a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. As long as the male and female leads establish a relationship with the supporting male lead, the glory of the previous life will return. Oh my God, the male lead has already taken the female lead shopping. His CEO aura is so domineering and utterly charming. Although the famous domestic fashion studio, Heaven's Silk, belongs to the supporting female lead, it will sooner or later fall into the male lead's hands. It's just borrowing a few formal dresses, what's the big deal? The supporting female lead surely isn't so petty, right? Coming to my asterisk studio to borrow formal dresses? I looked up, surprised and a little annoyed. I saw Clara, arm in arm with Liam, brazenly enter the luxurious fashion store directly below. Liam didn't even bother to look around, immediately ordering a store employee, bring out all the latest formal dresses. Also, take Miss Clara to get her makeup done right away. Clara showed no restraint, heading straight upstairs, but was immediately stopped by the quick-witted and observant manager Lynn. Excuse me, the upstairs area is currently occupied by a distinguished guest. Please wait in the lobby for a moment. Clara's face clearly showed her displeasure. What distinguished guest? Is she more important than me? Don't you people recognize who I am? Manager Lynn's face turned pale, cold sweat trickling down. He hastily ran upstairs to consult me. This store was entirely my property. The downstairs was for displaying high-end jewelry and formal wear, while the upstairs was a private area I used for personal grooming. I had taken Clara there a few times before. In moments of joy, I had even given her a lot of precious jewelry. But now she had been kicked out of my house. Why couldn't she understand her place? I replied nonchalantly, Anyone who comes to buy is a customer. Just serve them according to protocol, treat everyone with respect. Charge them the original price. If they can't pay, call the police. Manager Lynn nodded obediently, immediately went downstairs, and found an excuse to lead Clara into a VIP room on the first floor. Chloe and I weren't idle either. We took the opportunity to choose a few new items, working while also peeking downstairs to watch those two amateur actors perform their charade. When we finished our shopping and went downstairs, we saw the store staff stopping the two, preventing them from leaving. "Excuse me, Miss Clara, the total today is $58,200. How would you like to pay?" Clara was stunned, her voice somewhat shrill. "Make *me pay? Don't you people know who I am? Usually I just put it on account when I come here." "Excuse me, Miss Clara, the store no longer offers that option. Please settle your payment." Clara irritably pulled out a black card but received a heavy shock. The account was frozen and couldn't be used. At this point, she began to panic. "How can this be? This card belongs to Lucy." She looked up, directly meeting my gaze. Immediately, malicious comments began to spread, mercilessly mocking me. "The supporting female lead is so hateful. It's just 50-something thousand, and she's being so calculative with the female lead. In the previous life, the supporting female lead used money to hinder the love of the male and female leads. This life, her nature hasn't changed. The supporting female lead truly doesn't understand that love is about giving, not demanding. Someone so calculative clearly can't make the male lead fall for her." I understood this better than anyone. And it seemed Liam, the so-called male lead in this brainless story, shared the same opinion of me. He glanced sideways, his eyes filled with contempt, as if subtly speaking to Clara, yet every word was implicitly aimed directly at me. "It's okay, Clara, there are always troublemakers in life. She probably thinks freezing a bank card can threaten me into submission, into marrying her." He paused for a moment, deliberately emphasizing, "But she doesn't realize that the more tricks she plays, the less any man will pay attention to her." Next, he changed his tone, feigning concern. "But tonight's party is very important. Clara, why don't you temporarily pawn this necklace?" Liam gently stroked Clara's hair, comforting her. "I know you love this necklace very much, but don't worry. After tonight, I'll help you spend freely again. We'll redeem this necklace then." I was appalled by his brazenness. How outrageous. Even standing in front of the actual owner of the necklace, he dared to openly discuss pawning it. He was truly a shameless person. Chloe, standing beside me, didn't need me to speak. She swiftly stepped forward and snatched the necklace from Clara's neck. "Do you two have any shame? This necklace belongs to Lucy. Give it back to her immediately." Clara, consumed by rage, glared at me, her eyes burning. "Lucy, now you've left me homeless, and you're even trying to steal back the necklace you once gave me." I replied without hesitation. "If it was a gift, it's naturally mine. How I choose to deal with it is my business. Are you two just idly meddling?" I gently reminded her. "Clara, that necklace was custom made for me by a world-renowned jewelry designer. It's one of a kind. It even has my initials engraved on it. I remember you said it was beautiful and asked to wear it for a few days. I agreed, but I never said I was giving it to you." I looked directly into her eyes, firm. "If you absolutely refuse to return it, I'll have to call the police." Clara's face turned dark and gloomy, but she seemed to have lost all face to argue with me further. I seized the opportunity, casually taking back the remaining jewelry from her. As a result, she was left empty-handed. Manager Lynn, ever sharp, immediately spoke up. "Have the two of you settled the bill yet?" He looked directly at them, his voice holding a subtle meaning. "If not, please return the merchandise." Clara hurriedly clutched Liam's sleeve, her face anxious. "Liam, do you have any money left? Hurry and pay, weren't you always so generous?" She seemed to suddenly realize that his generosity was entirely my money. Immediately, she fell silent, not daring to say another word. She glared angrily into my eyes, me, who was watching the drama with a relaxed expression. "It's all Lucy's fault. She's so stingy she won't even spare a few old pieces of jewelry." She even snatched back the necklace I'd worn for 3 months. She turned to Liam with a pleading look. "Liam, don't just stand there like a statue. Think of something. These things can't be returned. I'll lose so much face if they are." I said nothing, while Chloe beside me burst into laughter, speaking cheerfully. If you're so worried about losing face, then buy it all. Buying it all is like giving money to Lucy, a win-win for everyone. The faces of the other two turned as black as a pot. Finally, Liam gritted his teeth, took off his jacket, and pulled Clara, intending to leave. Don't look down on a poor youth. Just you wait, as soon as I meet young Master Leo, I'll definitely have money. Before he could finish his sentence, the young Master Leo he longed for, Chloe's brother, Leo, walked in. Meeting me? Leo asked. Lucy, what's going on? The moment Liam saw Leo, he and Clara immediately became excited, surrounding him with smiling faces. Liam introduced himself. Hello, Mr. Leo, I'm Liam, and this is my girlfriend, Clara. He quickly piped up, I don't know if you're busy, but I have a project I'd like to discuss with you. The comments also boiled over due to Liam's actions. The male lead is so capable. Proactively taking the initiative, seizing business opportunities, he's about to turn the situation around. In the previous life, the supporting male lead returned to the country at this time, won the Southern Development Project, and his assets increased by billions. Although in the previous life, the male lead only met the supporting male lead through the supporting female lead. Now that he has memories of his previous life, wouldn't turning the situation around be too easy? I sneered. These comments were so naive. Having memories of a previous life would restore social connections. Weren't all those connections mine asterisk? Leo's reaction didn't disappoint me. He looked at Liam with suspicion, not even bothering to shake hands, and walked directly over to Chloe and me. He asked with concern, Chloe, Lucy, are you two done shopping? Not stopping there, he added a teasing remark, did I arrive too early? His outright dismissive attitude left the other two in an incredibly awkward situation, so embarrassed they didn't know where to hide their faces. Clara hugged her chest, too mortified to look up. Liam looked at us, his expression incredibly complex, seemingly holding 1,000 interwoven emotions. It seemed these people were still immersed in the glamorous illusions of their past lives, still deluding themselves into playing the roles of privileged young masters and ladies from esteemed families, arrogant and conceited. Sadly, they seemed to have forgotten that everything they once had, from material possessions to status, wasn't all built by me. They disdained the money that came from me, yet clung desperately to the conveniences and material comforts I provided. Wanting to have it all while pretending to be noble, how ridiculous. I gently smiled, instructing the store manager to carefully package the formal dresses Chloe and I had just chosen. Leo naturally took the shopping bags, showing an undisguised tenderness and indulgence. After that, I selected an elegant tie and meticulously handed it to him. Mr. Leo, you just returned to the country and immediately came to pick us up. Consider this a small thank you gift from me. Leo responded with a gentle smile, immediately took off the tie he was wearing, and replaced it with the one I had just given him. Lucy has excellent taste. I really like this gift, thank you very much. I secretly chuckled, glancing at the two standing nearby, their faces now as dark as storm clouds. Without hesitation, I motioned for everyone to leave. Stop, a voice full of anger rang out from behind. I turned, meeting Liam's deeply hateful eyes. The supporting female lead is truly cunning, even intentionally giving gifts to others in front of the male lead. What a sinister plan. If the male lead doesn't win Leo's project, he's finished. What to do? No way. Could the male lead be forced back to the supporting female lead, and the female lead have to suffer for another 8 years? How can that supporting female lead be worthy? I ignored the comments, not caring at all. Liam, as if utterly humiliated, took steps closer to me, his eyes burning with resentment. He turned his face away, shut his eyes tightly, and said coldly, Lucy, consider this round your victory. I admit your actions have gotten my attention. You simply want me to be your boyfriend. If you give me a chance to participate in Leo's new project, I can consider having dinner with you. Before I could react, Leo let out a scornful laugh. Lucy, this toad wants to have dinner with you and even wants to participate in my project before you do. This brainless idiot, where did you even meet him? Leo's sarcastic remark made Liam freeze on the spot. I tried to suppress my laughter, softly replying, he seems to be the boyfriend of my maid's daughter at home. We're not close. The fashion store next door is also mine. Do you want to continue strolling? Liam stared blankly as I happily shopped, sweeping up everything around me without hesitation. It felt as though the years of humbling deference in his previous life vividly replayed, like a reminder of his present abject humiliation. His face paled noticeably. "Lucy, save me," Liam weakly called out, but only a few seconds later, he collapsed to the ground dizzy. However, when he woke up in a hospital room, all he saw was Clara endlessly complaining and grumbling. "When didn't you faint? Why did you have to choose that exact moment? You don't know, those sales assistants were looking at me like I was a swindler, as if they were afraid I'd touch anything and blame them. Clara here has never been looked down upon like that in all these years. Liam, you once promised me you'd never let me suffer any grievance in this life." Liam looked down at the IV drip in his hand, his heart in a tangle. All he had dreamed of when he was reborn was to avenge the humiliations and grievances Lucy had inflicted upon him, making her taste bitterness. Yet, only a few hours had passed, and everything had vanished like soap bubbles. He didn't understand why he suddenly remembered when he first met Lucy. He had also fainted once back then, and Lucy herself had taken him to the hospital, staying by his side and meticulously taking care of him. A young lady, a pampered daughter who had never had to lift a finger, had personally peeled an apple for him. The peeled surface was uneven and crooked, looking quite comical. Liam suddenly felt an unusual emptiness. Finally, he could only close his eyes, heavily drifting into sleep. At least tonight he still had a place to shelter, not having to sleep on the streets. After witnessing countless comments sympathizing with the male lead and feeling sorry for the female lead, I received a call from Manager Lynn. Only then did I fully understand the actual situation. "Understood. Remember to thoroughly review the surveillance cameras to see if any valuable items were taken." I hung up, taking the glass of wine from Leo's hand. "Mr. Leo, is your return to the country this time for work?" "Yes, there's a project in the southern city that requires my personal close supervision." I nodded. Initially, I intended to warn him about Liam, but then I reconsidered. Leo wasn't that foolish. Leo was 6 years older than me and had inherited the family business early in his youth. Throughout that process, there surely wasn't any strange or eccentric person he hadn't encountered. So how could he be deceived by a conceited, arrogant person like Liam? I sipped a premium wine, the spicy taste spreading across my tongue, then slowly continued. "After this project is finished, I won't go abroad anymore. Perhaps I'll choose to stay in the country and develop my career." The comments became even more lively and interesting than I expected. "Oh my, I think this plot seems a bit off. In the previous life, Leo went abroad to develop his career after completing the project in the southern region. Why is he deciding to stay in the country now? Could he hinder the male lead's path to success according to the script?" I vaguely remember that Leo once had feelings for the supporting female lead, and when he returned to the country and learned she was with the male lead, he decisively left. Now, the male and female leads no longer have this relationship. Could the plot have undergone a major change? No. If Leo and the supporting female lead end up together, what about the male and female leads? The male lead hasn't even become a billionaire, a successful man yet. I found these scripts and theories truly ridiculous and humorous. Must I fall in love with Liam, the person they call the male lead in this brainless story? Must I become a tool, a stepping stone to boost his successful career? With tens of billions in assets in my hands, couldn't I find a suitable and qualified person? As for Leo, I began to be half convinced by what netizens were discussing. After all, his reputation for not being interested in women in high society was well known. Was it simply because I was close to him through my relationship with Chloe that it was automatically assumed I had feelings for him? After the lavish party ended, I suddenly felt like posting something on my personal social circle. 9 photos were collaged, capturing the splendid, extravagant moments of the party. Not long after, I saw Clara also posted an update. In the photo, she tightly held Liam's hand, her eyes filled with happiness and love. Below was the caption, "As long as we're always together, no matter how difficult things get, we'll overcome them together." The comments section, in turn, burst into laughter, sarcastically claiming that my scheme had failed. The supporting female lead thinks she's the center of the universe, thinking that preventing the male and female leads from attending the party could break them apart. What a tear-jerking comedy. I raised an eyebrow, a thought stirring in my mind. Is that so? I wonder how long Liam's bone cancer will last. But I didn't expect that only about half an hour after posting, I received a phone call from my mother. Lucy, you've been increasingly out of line lately. Clara just wanted to introduce a new friend to you. Why did you rudely kick them out like that? I frowned, feeling something was amiss. After persistent questioning, I finally learned the truth. It turned out that Clara's mother, Auntie Jiang, called my mother every day, using the excuse of reporting on my recent situation. Every single day. She had secretly twisted white into black, blaming all faults on me, trying to tarnish my reputation and credibility with my parents. No wonder I felt my parents were increasingly disappointed in me, instead constantly praising Clara as sensible, obedient, and affectionate. Clara even pretended to comfort me, saying I was too sensitive. Perhaps it was because I hadn't seen my parents in a long time that I felt distant. I spent over an hour arguing with my parents, presenting full arguments, refuting every slanderous word from Clara and her mother, clarifying all misunderstandings. This included the matter of her daring to bring a strange man home, even intending to stay there indefinitely. I told them everything. Fearing my parents wouldn't believe me, I directly sent them the surveillance videos I had saved beforehand. Finally, they understood everything, telling me to handle it as I saw fit, and if there were any problems, they would bear the consequences. My heart filled with warmth, I decided to call someone to kick in Auntie Jiang's door. The last time Clara brought Liam to my house, Auntie Jiang wasn't there, so I had forgotten to deal with her. If I was going to clean house, I had to clean until everything was spotless. Auntie Jiang seemed utterly confused, her face unhappy as she asked me, "Miss Lucy, didn't you eat enough at the party today? Now you're asking me to cook a late-night meal. Isn't that outrageous? I'm your family's housekeeper, not a slave. I also have personal freedom." I let out a cold, faint laugh and immediately opened the saved surveillance video on my phone. "Fine, I'll return that freedom to you. My house is too small to accommodate a great Buddha like you. You're fired. Get out immediately." Hearing this, Auntie Jiang's face finally changed, asking me in a panic why. I lost all patience, directly throwing several old video clips in her face. "Just the fact that you secretly stole quite a few valuable antiques from my family's storage room is enough for me to fire you, understand?" Previously, when I discovered her actions, I had intended to tell my parents, but I thought Auntie Jiang had worked for my family for many years. Moreover, those items weren't anything too precious or special. I had gently warned her once, and she secretly returned them, so I let it go. But clearly, being too kind only encourages petty people to become more emboldened, more arrogant and confident in their actions. She was finally kicked out of the house that night. The next morning, Clara rushed over to confront me, trying to exert pressure. However, there was one thing she didn't expect. She had come at an inappropriate time. I was currently carefully inventorying all the handbags and jewelry I had lent Clara previously. This process had revealed some irregularities. Many limited edition, highly valuable, and extremely rare Hermes bags had been replaced with expertly crafted fakes. Not only that, many sparkling diamond jewelry pieces, symbols of class and luxury, had been replaced with zirconium stones that looked similar but whose value differed vastly. I narrowed my eyes slightly, focusing on her. Clara, who had been so eloquent and persuasive moments before, immediately turned her head, avoiding eye contact as soon as my gaze fell upon her. She then seemed to intend to run away. However, that attempt failed as she was immediately blocked by my bodyguards, who protected the security around me. In this tense moment, a memory flashed through my mind. Previously, Auntie Jiang, Clara's mother, in a moment of carelessness, had accidentally revealed information about buying a high-end apartment in the city center. The apartment cost $6 million, and Auntie had paid a $2 million deposit. However, the truth was that both mother and daughter had been living in my house all this time. Their monthly income was only a meager $10,000, and they also had the added burden of supporting a husband, a man addicted to gambling, which plunged the family into financial difficulties. So where did the $2 million they used for personal expenses come from, and where did the money from my exchanged assets go? Now it was crystal clear, beyond any doubt. My face became icy, devoid of any emotion. I immediately ordered an esteemed appraisal expert to reevaluate all the lost assets, providing accurate and transparent valuations. After completing the appraisal process, the expert presented the final result. The total value of damages amounted to $2,580,000. I decided to round the number up to $2.6 million. When will you pay? I questioned Clara, but her reaction was beyond my expectations. She showed no remorse. Instead, she became incredibly angry. Lucy, is it just because the man you love doesn't love you but loves me that you have to deliberately target me like this? Clara screamed, expressing extreme indignation. Those items were originally mine. How I choose to deal with them is my business. What right do you have to demand money from me? Immediately, in the comment sections, criticisms aimed at me erupted simultaneously. Didn't the supporting female lead once give the female lead a room full of valuable items and never ask for them back? Now, just because the male lead didn't choose her, she's turning her back like this. Truly a genuine green tea *TCH. The supporting female lead truly has a narrow mind. Isn't she afraid the male lead will find out and bury her alive? I smiled faintly, a cold smile, then directly flicked the invoice straight into Clara's face. All those items were paid for with my card. Ownership was never yours, I declared unequivocally. 1 month. If you can't pay, we'll meet in court. I didn't want to waste any more time with Clara. I ordered my people to escort her out of the villa immediately, then handed the entire matter over to my private lawyer to handle according to proper procedure. After resolving everything related to Clara, my heart still felt burdened. The feeling of annoyance still hadn't subsided. Just at this time, Leo invited me to dinner, also suggesting a collaboration to develop a promising project in the southern part of the city. An opportunity to make money had presented itself. Of course, I wouldn't refuse. After only a short while into our meal, the comments began to express pity for the male lead again. How outrageous! Does the male lead really have to give in to the supporting female lead? And the male lead still has bone cancer and no money for surgery. He had a chance to negotiate with the supporting male lead, but the supporting female lead ruined it. I just want to see the male and female leads deeply in love. Why do they have to torture them like this? I furrowed my brow slightly. Before I could even understand what was happening, I saw Liam appear. He had his hands in his pockets, looking down at me from above with eyes full of hatred mixed with contempt. Lucy, I admit you have a lot of guts. He began to speak smugly. I know you love me, that's why you deliberately caused trouble, deliberately targeting Clara. He continued in a tone full of arrogance. How about this? I'll give you a chance. What I said yesterday is still valid. You help me pay for my medical expenses, and once I recover, I can reluctantly break up with Clara and be your boyfriend for 3 years. Liam paused for a moment, as if making this decision was a very shameful thing, then gritted his teeth and added, Only 3 years. That's my absolute limit. I burst out laughing and asked him back, Excuse me, when did I say I liked you? Liam gave a complacent smile. You don't need to say it, I already know. Lucy, I understand you perfectly. The moment you met me, you fell for me, sparing no effort to break us apart. Before he could finish, I cut him off. Leo stepped forward, pulling me behind him, looking at Liam with annoyance. It's you again. Did you escape from a mental asylum and no one's looking for you? Liam's smile vanished, his voice suddenly turning cold. Leo, what goes on between Lucy and me is none of your business. Who do you think you are? I let out a faint chuckle. Immediately, praises for the cool male lead appeared again, while I could only shake my head in exasperation. Liam clearly still hadn't accepted his current status, his heart still aching over being ignored by Leo. But he still didn't understand the truth. He currently had no money, was riddled with illness, and had no right whatsoever to confront me. Based on the fact that I'm pursuing Lucy, and that my family and the Liu family have been friends for a long time, I naturally have the right, Leo replied, a single sentence ending the game. But I underestimated Liam's narcissism. He still harbored many delusions about himself. Liam let out a faint, scornful chuckle and said, Lucy, I know you're still bothered by me and Clara, that's why you deliberately sought out Leo to provoke me. No need to worry, I'm not offended. What I said earlier is still valid, as long as you... I cut him off, blurting out decisively, No need. In my voice, I couldn't hide my disgust and contempt. You're poor and pathetic and excessively delusional. Even if I were blind, I wouldn't spare you a glance. Perhaps my words, poor and pathetic, were a direct punch to Liam's ego. Because after that, for over a month, he no longer appeared before me, no longer bothering me. I myself enjoyed peaceful days, fully focusing on enjoying life. However, the social media comments continued to update on the situation of the two main characters, as if a habit. Liam, the man who was once arrogant, now has no money and no longer has the wicked supporting female lead to rely on, so he has to live off Clara, the pitiful female lead. Clara's mother, Auntie Jiang, should have saved a considerable amount of money after all these years, but her husband is a gambling addict. All the money she saved was gambled away senselessly, leaving nothing behind. Clara, who used to rely on the supplementary card I provided, doesn't even have pocket money now. Today, she also faces a compensation bill of over $2 million, truly almost driven to a dead end. The newly bought luxury apartment, before she even moved in, had to be hastily sold to make ends meet. Finally, the three of them had to cram into a rented house for only 500 yuan a month, finding every possible way to make a living day by day. Of course, they had no time to continue causing trouble. However, the comments blamed all the faults on me. They criticized me for being selfish, unwilling to spend money to help their pitiful male and female leads. Every time I saw those comments, I couldn't help but laugh. A smart investor must consider the outcome, the immediate profit, or the spiritual value, or the commercial value. As for those two, all they know is to sit back and enjoy. Why should I pour my money into that bottomless pit? At the start of the university semester, Clara certainly had no money for tuition. If nothing changed, it's likely she wouldn't be involved with me anymore. As Chloe and I had just finished unpacking our luggage in the dormitory and were about to go downstairs, suddenly, Clara raised her phone and smashed it directly against me. Before I could fully recover, my face immediately appeared on her live stream screen. Everyone, look, it's her. This B*TCH is the one who made me so miserable. I frowned, looking up at Clara. In just one short month, she had changed dramatically. Her former arrogant and conceited appearance had completely vanished, replaced by an unmistakable weariness and dishevelment. The cheap makeup couldn't hide the dark circles under her eyes. Clara aggressively raised her phone, loudly cursing at me, the mastermind who had made her wretched. She claimed I bullied her just because I had more money. What does she have that's better than me besides money? She was never as pretty as me when we were little, nor was she as loved by everyone as I was. Even her parents liked me more, and the person she liked only loved me. She's jealous of me, that's why she used her connections and money to bribe the school to force me to drop out. I gave up so many chances to have fun, enrolled in countless extra classes just to get into this school. But she, Lucy, has lived in luxury since childhood, yet she wants to snatch away even my only chance to hold my head high. The online comments were immediately swayed by her, angrily cursing me as a vicious capitalist. The wealth gap was indeed a powerful weapon in public opinion. The surrounding students also stopped, whispering and pointing at me with curiosity. Just as I was about to explain, Chloe quickly acted, without hesitation, delivering a resounding slap to Clara's face. "This drama is so cliché, aren't you tired of it?" Chloe said sharply. "My friend Lucy didn't stop you from continuing your studies. Where's your evidence? We have it." She continued, "Evidence of you secretly selling Lucy's designer items, including surveillance video of your mother, while she was a maid in the Liu family, stealing antiques. Do you want me to broadcast it live for everyone to see? And your boyfriend, dirt poor and suffering from bone cancer, yet he has the nerve to demand Lucy pay for his medical treatment. Outwardly, you curse people as rotten capitalists, yet time and again, you freeload while pretending to be righteous, even standing there with your hand out begging for money. Since childhood, you've lived in Lucy's house, eaten her food, used her money. You even tried to sell her necklace for money to buy clothes. Why don't you tell those stories in your live stream?" The comments before my eyes instantly fell silent, empty to the point of leaving no trace, like a pristine blank page, without a single word, without a single comment. However, in the live broadcast, the noise and arguments still continued without end. The surrounding students also kept their eyes on Clara, evaluating her from head to toe, observing every gesture and expression. They realized that Clara couldn't offer any justification. In their hearts, everyone already had their own speculations and prejudices. Tusk, who knew there would be such a dramatic reversal? I told you so. Looking at that young lady, why would she need to be jealous of her? Insatiably greedy, always wanting to rely on public opinion to elevate her status, she's truly desperate for fame. Liam, his face pale, hurriedly ran over, panting as he tried to pull Clara aside to talk privately. "Clara, don't make a scene anymore," he whispered. "Turn off the live stream quickly." His voice was so low it was almost inaudible, but because I was standing close, I could hear every word clearly. "This is so embarrassing." These words were like adding fuel to the fire, making Clara furious. "Aren't I doing all of this for you?" she screamed. "You spend my money, use my money, go to the emergency room again and again. Besides empty promises, what else have you given me?" The comments before my eyes started appearing again, but they no longer blindly defended Clara, the female lead. This statement from the female lead is a bit too much. It's touched the male lead's self-esteem. Shouldn't she be the one who understands the male lead best? I feel like the female lead in this story has changed too much. Before, she was gentle, understanding, and very sensible. In the previous life, the female lead was the one who benefited, without having to give anything. Now she's the one who has to bear the consequences. It's understandable for her mindset to change. I gave a faint smile, not paying attention to those arguments. Being thrown into the vortex of life's struggles too early, having to calculate every penny, how could she remain forever sweet as those naive comments wished? In their previous life, they loved each other for 8 years, but all of it was based on the material foundation I provided. Now, with mere survival being a huge challenge, who had the mind to dream of love, ideals, or other fleeting things? After watching the hilarious drama, I urged Chloe to leave. "Leo just texted. He said he's already at the school gate. He's probably arrived by now. Let's hurry." Chloe raised an eyebrow, teasing me. "Ah, now you know my brother's schedule better than his own sister, me, do you?" She paused for a moment and then asked, "So, should I start practicing calling you sister-in-law soon?" I smiled, offering no denial. Leo had clearly expressed his feelings, wanting me to give him a chance. I hadn't outright refused and was slowly getting to know him. We had only walked a few steps when Liam suddenly turned and grabbed my hand. "Lucy," he angrily glared at me, then helplessly closed his eyes. "I admit defeat this time. You win." Liam struggled to speak. "My condition is getting worse, it's already spreading. The doctor said I can't last much longer." He continued in a weak voice. "As long as you're willing to pay for my surgery, whatever condition you set, I will." The roar of a sports car engine drowned out his words. Leo stepped out of a gleaming Koenigsegg, quickly came over, and forcefully knocked Liam's hand away from mine. "It's you again? Are you sick? If you really can't find your way home, I can call someone to help you. I'll make sure all your travel expenses are covered," Leo said coldly. "But you can't keep taking advantage of Lucy's kindness and bothering her every day." Liam froze, his eyes fixed on Leo's car. His gaze became hazy, as if he was lost in distant memories. It seemed he was recalling his luxurious life from before. I let out a soft chuckle, intentionally asking Leo, "Why did you drive this car today? You usually drive the Cayenne." Leo looked at me affectionately, then replied, "The person I like is still in college, so of course, I have to be a little youthful and stand out, to prevent some people who don't know their place from fantasizing." He emphasized, "The most valuable thing for a person is knowing where they stand." I giggled, silently watching Clara, who was approaching and intended to touch the supercar in the distance. If she dared to leave even a single scratch, I swore I'd sue her into bankruptcy. But clearly, she understood her current situation and regretfully pulled her hand back. "Come on, the 2 plays are over. Let's go eat, I'm starving." Chloe skillfully broke the tense atmosphere. I quickly took her hand in Leo's and we left. Liam still didn't give up, calling my name loudly once more. I completely lost patience, annoyedly speaking up. "How close are we anyway? Do you know how much time your meaningless words have wasted for me? If you're sick, it's best to take care of it yourself, find money for treatment. If you can't afford it, go beg for money." For Liam, a person with high self-esteem, this was completely unacceptable. He was always proud of himself, never wanting to humble himself and become a beggar. Through the live comments, I could feel that my provocative words during the broadcast that day had strongly impacted Liam's psyche. He began to throw money into the stock market, investing recklessly. With the knowledge and memories from his previous life, just recalling a little, he could find loopholes to make a profit. However, I absolutely would not allow that to happen. I'd already been labeled a wicked supporting female character. If I didn't act wicked, wouldn't all the effort of being cursed for so long be in vain? I always followed Liam's every move through the live comments. Whatever stock he decided on, I would immediately join in and buy. Not only did I buy and sell according to Liam, but I also dragged both Leo and Chloe into this game. Waiting until Liam had accumulated a decent amount of capital, around several tens of thousands, they began to leverage their finances to aggressively increase the number of shares they held, as expected. Even Clara's mother and her maternal uncle's family were drawn into the investment vortex. I couldn't help but smile in satisfaction when I saw that. The more people fell into the trap, the more interesting the game became. When everything was in motion, when everyone was caught in the matrix, I didn't hesitate. I began to short sell stocks wildly. All the money Liam and Clara had painstakingly earned vanished. They failed miserably, losing everything. Meanwhile, I, along with the two Liu siblings, made a fortune, each acquiring a villa, 3 side by side, feeling extremely smug. On the other side, Clara's maternal uncle, after realizing he had been deceived, came daily to cause trouble, demanding compensation. Clara's biological father, a gambling addict, even went mad, destroying all the remaining meager assets in the house. All the pressure and burdens fell upon Clara. As for Liam, reeling from the heavy stock market losses, his illness became more severe, relapsing badly, forcing him to be hospitalized again. He tried to find the doctor who had operated on him in his previous life, but he couldn't find him anywhere. This was understandable. As the comments had said, in the previous life, everything was paid for by me, including the cost of bringing a top doctor from abroad by private jet to operate on Liam. If he found him now, that would be truly strange. Clara also faced pressure from both her biological parents and her maternal uncle, not to mention the heavy burden of Liam's expensive surgery. She, who once thought her whole life would be about draining others, now after only half a month of playing the blood bag, couldn't bear it anymore. As a result, she had a huge fight with Liam right in the hospital and then flatly left him, ignoring him. The comments that had previously supported the female lead began to change. The female lead is truly too much. When the male lead needed her most, she gave up. 8 years of affection are worth less than money. It's all the supporting female lead's fault. If the supporting female lead had paid to save the male lead from the beginning, the female lead wouldn't have had to break up with him. The male lead humbled himself and begged to be the supporting female lead's boyfriend, but she still scorned him. How disgusting, but the supporting female lead doesn't know anything. She wasn't reborn and couldn't know the future. I simply smiled faintly, not bothering with those words, and focused on completing my application for postgraduate studies abroad. Because of the misunderstanding caused by the maid's lies, my parents felt extremely apologetic. They decided to hand over a subsidiary company to me so I could begin trying my hand at management. Of course, I had to study hard to protect the assets I possessed. Just reading those comments made me shiver. I absolutely did not want to end up in a situation where I had to compete for food with other patients in a mental hospital. Fortunately, I now had Leo, a financial genius, by my side. With his guidance, I felt even more confident in the path I had chosen. Time passed quickly. Days at school flew by, and in the blink of an eye, the holiday season arrived. Leo had specially reserved a table at a luxurious restaurant to celebrate Chloe and my official start to summer vacation. But unexpectedly, Chloe suddenly had a stomachache. "Lucy, you go ahead in my brother's car. I'll have the driver bring me later." I reluctantly went with Leo to the restaurant first. It wasn't until I saw the floor covered in pink balloons and a large wall decorated with roses that I understood everything. I raised an eyebrow, my eyes wide with surprise. Leo, who rarely showed tension, was trembling as he held a bouquet of flowers and knelt on one knee, his gaze fixed on me. I couldn't help but chuckle. Leo sheepishly forced a smile, quickly changing his posture to kneeling on one knee. "I'm sorry, I don't have experience." "Lucy, I know you're currently focused on your studies, and I was afraid dating would distract you, so I never dared to confess my feelings, only wanting to continue being by your side as Chloe's brother. Before, I always believed that as long as I performed exceptionally, demonstrated superior capabilities, and appeared frequently enough in front of you, your eyes would surely only be on me. I thought no other man would be able to catch your eye. However, when Chloe revealed to me that you receive many love letters from admirers sent to the school every day, I truly felt incredibly scared. Oh, so that's what it was about? I chuckled, accepting the beautiful bouquet Leo offered. This action, for a brief moment, made me feel as if a romantic proposal was about to happen. However, Leo's previous words were incredibly profound and understanding. Over the past half-year, he had continuously spent time by my side, constantly making his presence known, making it difficult for me to ignore his care and attention. Although Leo had gone to study abroad very early and could only return to the country once or twice a year, this short period of time made our feelings for each other blossom more than ever. Compared to Liam, who constantly exploited my feelings, Leo was truly a perfect role model with nothing to criticize. I found it hard to find any reason to refuse his sincere affection. I was smiling, about to nod in agreement, when suddenly a thin, weak figure rushed out from the kitchen. I don't agree. It wasn't until the comments appeared that I was sure the emaciated man in front of me was Liam. Over the past 6 months, I had occasionally read fleeting comments about his and Clara's situation, but they all stopped at phrases like pitiful, struggling to make money. At that time, my life was very stable, and I wasn't in the mood to gloat or mock. I read them and quickly forgot. But I never expected Liam to be this miserable. He staggered, each step marked by sweat, his eyes sunken and dark, almost consuming his face. Looking at him, I felt terrified. In his hand, he held a balloon, as if trying to grasp a bit of light in the darkness. Lucy, can you hear me? I don't agree. I held my breath, trying to remain calm, and pouted. Whether you agree or not, what does it have to do with me? Liam, it seems there's no connection between us anymore. Yes, there is, he hastily replied, but then showed an embarrassed, speechless expression. Lucy, it's already this stage, don't play games anymore. I know I'm always in your heart. My illness can't last much longer. I've also broken up with Clara. I agree to be your boyfriend. Even if... He gritted his teeth, his eyes full of hatred as he looked at me, saying, even if it's 3 people, I'm completely speechless, while Leo quickly stood in front of me. Then absolutely not. Lucy and I are both traditional people. We don't like these kinds of frivolous games. Our family would never allow that to happen either. I nodded, agreeing with Leo. The romantic atmosphere was completely shattered. I truly had no mood to care about him anymore. Moreover, comments began to display philosophical remarks, expressing sorrow for the male lead Liam. This truly made me unhappy. So, I suggested to Leo, we should move to another location to continue the celebration. As for Liam, he was forcibly removed from the restaurant by the people Leo had called. The rare job he had painstakingly found probably vanished too. But if I had known that moving to a new location would lead me to encounter Clara, I would have refused, even if it meant death. With a shameless face, she constantly bothered me, trying to recount past romantic stories. But her story was quickly interrupted by a phone call. Clara irritably picked up. Who is it? I'm busy. What? Emergency rescue? Oh, Liam fainted again. What does that have to do with me? We broke up a long time ago. She frowned, hung up, then turned back to me with a thick-skinned expression. The comments on the screen could no longer be restrained, simultaneously criticizing. After all, it was an 8-year relationship. The hospital called, and the female lead wouldn't even visit the male lead once. Can only share blessings, not endure hardships? This kind of love is ridiculous. I wonder if they regret being reincarnated. This life truly looks too miserable. I don't know if Liam and Clara regretted it, but I was certainly very satisfied with my current choice. Everyone must bear the consequences of their actions. Things that don't belong to you, no matter how hard you try to snatch them, will eventually lead to repercussions. Noticing Clara still trying to cling to me, I called the restaurant owner over. Right in front of her, I recounted all of Clara's past misdeeds to the owner. Since I was already branded a wicked supporting female character, I might as well be wicked to the end. Who told her to deliberately bother me? So, she was fired immediately. After much effort, Leo and I could finally talk undisturbed. Liam was awakened by the surrounding noises, and seeing the familiar ceiling, he felt a slight relief that he was still alive. The terrifying sensation of dying in his previous life was still deeply etched in his memory. He was too afraid of death, but living like this seemed even worse than death. The nurse immediately noticed signs of him regaining consciousness. As usual, this woman began to chatter endlessly about Liam's critical health condition, emphasizing the urgency of surgery and urging him to quickly find financial resources. His kind-hearted roommate spoke up to comfort him, even suggesting he seek help through online platforms. However, Liam seemed unable to overcome his pride. In his previous life, accepting the role of live-in husband to the Liu family had dealt a fatal blow to his dignity. In this life, he only longed to live a straightforward life, with his head held high and full of pride. But it seemed everything wasn't going as he wished. He had pushed himself into a dead end. Liam felt disgusted with himself, drowning in a vicious cycle of self-doubt. When he learned that the hospital had contacted Clara multiple times without success, memories from his previous life flooded back images of Lucy quietly sitting by his bedside, silently caring for him. A deep regret surged in Liam's heart. It seemed Lucy wasn't such a bad choice after all. Was self-esteem truly so important that it could be exchanged for one's life? Compared to death, what meaning did it hold? Liam clenched his hands, standing silently before the familiar gates of the Liu residence, his heart filled with apprehension. After much deliberation, he mustered all his courage and called Lucy, but only received the message that the number he dialed was currently unreachable. Enduring the pain, he leaned on his cane, taking heavy steps to knock on the Liu family's door. In his mind, Lucy was the one who caused him to lose his job, the reason for his anger to the point of fainting and being hospitalized. Therefore, she should be held responsible. But when he learned that Lucy, through smart investments, had bought a villa near the Liu siblings' house, becoming their neighbor, Liam froze in shock. "So when is Lucy returning? My medical condition truly cannot be delayed any longer." The Liu family's security guard looked at him with disdain, then coldly replied, "Information not permitted to be disclosed." Liam completely panicked. He feared that Lucy would truly leave him, no longer belonging to him. Currently, he was not Lucy's legal husband and naturally had no right to inherit any assets. Liam paused for a moment before suddenly realizing. That's right, in this life, he had openly declared his feelings for Clara. He and Lucy actually had no relationship at all. Liam fell into utter despair, completely unable to think of any way to change the current situation. He wandered the streets in disappointment, just like the day he learned he had cancer and coincidentally met Clara. And then he spotted Clara, whom he hadn't contacted in a long time, intimately with a middle-aged, pot-bellied, bald man stepping out of a hotel. The man took a few bills from his wallet. Clara smiled as she accepted them, accompanied by a kiss on the cheek. Liam felt utterly nauseous. Clara's actions made him feel incredibly disgusted. He was about to turn and leave when he saw Clara's mother and maternal uncle rush over, quickly snatching the money from her hand without a word. Liam was stunned for a moment, then let out a relieved chuckle. Suddenly, he felt the pain in his body seem to subside, but that brief joy quickly vanished, replaced by a gut-wrenching ache. A deep regret surged in Liam's mind. If he had known Clara was such a person, he wouldn't have gone against Lucy for her, only to end up empty-handed and in pain today. If only he could start over, how wonderful that would be. He staggered into the middle of the road, looking at the dazzling car lights before his eyes. If he could live again, could he live once more? I had just gotten off the plane. Seeing the comments, I learned about Liam's foolish actions, but looking at everyone's reactions, it seemed he finally had to return to a difficult life on the streets. After all, someone who has experienced death would surely cherish life more than anyone. I didn't care much, only wanting to fully enjoy my vacation. Unfortunately, the vacation was too short. In the blink of an eye, it was time to return to school. I reluctantly bid farewell to my parents and Leo, returning to the country. The comments still occasionally appeared, trying to grab attention. I heard that Liam finally humbled himself, using his good looks to beg for help online. He even set up an account to solicit donations. Finally, he gathered enough money for surgery. But the cancer had metastasized, and both his legs had to be amputated. From now on, managing his own life will be a huge challenge. As soon as I got home, Butler Sue told me that Liam had come looking for me not long before. He even brought a gift. As soon as Butler Sue brought out the gift, I showed my displeasure, frowning and closing my eyes, not wanting to look. Wasn't it a glass snow globe that anyone could instantly recognize? A cheap item sold everywhere on the streets, unbelievably inexpensive. Yet, on the comment sections, it was widely praised as a meticulously chosen gift by the male lead. I clearly remembered that in the previous life, the male lead had traveled everywhere, searching dozens of stores just to buy this item to give to the supporting female lead. And the supporting female lead was so thrilled that she responded with a watch worth 2 million yuan. Was the male lead trying to rekindle romantic feelings in the supporting female lead's heart? However, for me, a 2 million yuan watch was truly nothing. As for that useless snow globe, even the pet dog at home wouldn't spare at a glance. I showed my disgust, ordering Butler Sue to throw it away, then happily immersed myself in admiring the antique I had successfully bid for at an auction a few days ago. Leo had a great fondness for such items, so I had secretly taken photos, intending to give it to him as a gift. Gifts, from time immemorial, have always contained thoughtfulness. Is it elaborate preparation or just a perfunctory gesture? Others I might not understand, but how could I not understand myself? The 2 million yuan watch could only stir the hearts of those commentators, and that Liam. The new school year was about to begin. Alongside that, I officially stepped into company management. However, the villa I was living in was too far from school and the company, causing quite a few inconveniences. I decided to buy an apartment nearby and move in, unexpectedly becoming Leo's neighbor. Every day, Leo proactively picked me up and dropped me off. From then on, I no longer had the chance to run into Liam or Clara. The comments gradually became sparser, with only occasional scattered exclamations appearing. I heard whispers that Clara was shunned by her own parents and maternal uncle, and eventually married off to a wealthy old man. Every day, she has to live as a caged bird, supporting her entire family, as if she ultimately couldn't escape the tragic fate of her previous life. Then time simply passed. The already sparse comments suddenly fell completely silent when Liam recklessly pushed his wheelchair straight into the sea to commit suicide. Just an hour later, I received an urgent call from the police. They informed me that Liam had left a letter with content intended for me. "Miss Lucy, could you personally come and retrieve the letter?" I looked at Leo, who was standing at the door of my apartment, and gave a faint smile. "I'm very busy, just throw it away."